Those are just some of the top 3 stories that we'll be taking a look at within Weekend Review. Of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta's memorandum on the finance bill that was passed yesterday. Bobby Wine finally returns back to Uganda, and the issue in Pumwani Hospital. If you are just joining us, allow me to reintroduce my panel. Today, closer to me, I have Philip Magal. He is an advocate. And at the center, Martin Owino, Member of Parliament for MP of Ndiwa, as well as the Honorable Joe Mtambu, former Member of Parliament for Mwingi Central. So yesterday, just to give an overview of what happened before we can play for you that clip, we saw this is how it all went down in a very short way. There was a voting and there was a quorum that was supposed to be met. Now, within the electronic system, it registered about 352 individuals, yet the full house in itself had about 349. So where was the error and mismatch in that? We'll talk about that. And the temporary speaker, Soipan Tuya, decided they would go ahead and vote by accumulation. This means shouting either the nays or the yeas, which you're about to see again. And that led to drama and a few members of parliament having to walk out, and they were locked outside and having to watch from the outside screens. Now, the temporary speaker decided, you know what, let's go vote again. However, the quorum this time round was only 215 members of parliament, which for them, they wanted, about a 0% VAT. Nevertheless, that 215 could not even match to the threshold of about 233, which is needed to then have passed this. So what does that mean? President Uhuru Kenyatta got his way. Justin Muturi then called for a second round of the vote after they went on a break, and the A's had it. Now, in case you missed that specific scenario, take a look.
Question, members, which is at clause 18 of the bill be amended as proposed in the reservations by His Excellency the President by deleting paragraph B. Honorable members, will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay?
Welcome to Kenya. All right, so Honorable Martin Owino, allow me to begin with you, given that out of all of us, you were the one who was inside there. Yeah. You said you did not watch from the outside screens. I want to believe you were inside.
Yes.
What did you vote? What is your stand?
Nay. And as you heard, nay was the loudest, almost 2/3.
So why did the temporary speaker decide to go with the yes?
This is the punity, and it is not by coincidence. Everything was choreographed. It's by design to cause confusion and chaos. And now you can just get it after that kind of nay, and she says the yes have it. In fact, I'm lobbying to change that standing order because it is abused. Not only this time, many times. The nay, the yes, the ayes have it, and then they say the opposite. So to me, when I was checking everything, I think this was by design from the beginning, that this is what is the chaotic situation that will be, and then this is what you should say, which is very wrong. You see how this works. The executive originates the budget policy.
Right.
The Treasury does the estimates. It is the responsibility of the House to pass the budget. And if Kenya can rise to leave that if your way is not, you don't get your way, you can also look into the alternatives, because sometimes if you don't get your way, in fact, it gives you more wisdom to look into other avenues. Suppose the president signed what we sent to him, and send it back to the House with austerity measures. Say, you refuse me taxes, this is how I'm going to do the cuts. Then the House leadership and the membership would have thought even deeper where to drive the knife. But because they were convinced that they are going to get their way, they designed how to get it, that is what happened. And it is very sad. And that is the dishonesty in the lawmaking house that we watched yesterday. And this is a summary of what happens in the polls.
Okay, so Honorable Joe Mtambo, you saw what has happened yesterday with that clip. This is literally, we've seen it. It's clearly right there. The nays were louder, yet the A's had it. Isn't this not lying to Kenyans or in broad daylight, robbing them of democracy?
Let me ask you, did you hear a louder nay or a long nay? I think we need to replay that clip.
You want us to replay the clip?
Was it too long or was it louder than... I mean, I think there's some argument there. Pardon me.
It was louder.
It was loud.
Was it louder or was it long? You know, you can prolong the nay and you are long. So it was prolonged. It's my opinion. Eh?
Yes, it is yours, but also.
Yes. What I've heard is a long nay. So maybe 2, 3, 4 people saying nay for 2, 3 minutes. Okay? That's what I'm not disputing. But to me, this is not the issue. What we are dealing with the symptoms of our problems. And I would want to address our issues. What are our issues? And I know it's good also to be honest as Kenyans. We are not being honest here. We are just dealing with the symptoms of our problems. Why can't we address our problems? What problems do we have in the country? The problem we have in the country, these guys, they are in the parliament shouting in us, and there are 349 members. Can we afford to pay them? That's the question we need to be auditing.
If you are there...
We can go in circles. Let me tell you, Cincy, be the president today. Let him be the president today. Let anyone be the president today. You'll need money to run the country. And with the current constitution we have, whether we like it or not, we can sit here, we can try to impress people, we can try to impress the public that we are on our side, but this country is ungovernable with the current constitution we have. And these are the issues we need to be addressing. I will not waste my time who said nay or yes for VAT. Whether we like it or not, we have to pay the taxes for this country to run.
And you do have a point over there in terms of representation, which we were going to talk about. First of all, before I can even come to that issue, if you were in that house yesterday, what would you have voted?
If I was in that house, in the first place, actually, I started a long time ago. And I think the records are there and they will bear me witness. And I said it and I will repeat what I said. Whether you bring 50% or 100%, I won't care what taxes are you asking for. I would care for what am I paying for. And I will stand with my stand. Simple as that. Okay. So yesterday's thing was just a gimmick. Pay 50% bills and give me good services. I mean 50% taxes. Okay, increase to 100 even, and give me the services I so deserve, I'll be okay. And since they allow me, actually it agitates me when I see Kenyans trying to punch the wrong man here. We are punching Uhuru, and this is not Uhuru, it is us.
But that's the problem. Uhuru's government, the people that he surrounds himself with, like you said, Kenyans wouldn't have a problem even paying 100% VAT if they knew this was going into quality service. But that's not the scenario, given majority of even the budget itself, 30% goes to corruption.
That said, what do you expect Uhuru to do? And we have given him almost 16,000, 1,500 MCS, yes. And they want to be called the honorable members. And they also want to go to India. They want to go to I don't know, Palestine. They want to go to do benchmarking. You have given him 377 members. You have given him 47 senators. You have given him 47 governors. What do you want? What do you expect from Uhuru to do?
Magal.
And you have given him that bloated wage bill.
Right, Magal, he has a point on that. The over-representation...
You know, we can discuss it today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, but we are not going to get to a solution.
This is what Kibaki did not have. 1,573 MCAs, 359 MPs, about 67 senators, 47 governors and deputies. He does have a point. This over-representation that we're seeing, thanks to the Constitution, is it part of the problem?
No, to me that is not a part of the problem. If you have a household, we know of a lady in Uganda who has about 40 children.
Yes, we saw that story.
How does she feed them? Does she go out there and borrow and come and feed them on lobsters, like Mheshimiwa would say, so and chapatis and milk?
So you're trying to say it's mismanagement?
Yes. She has to do with the little she has, and we could see that she was feeding them on ugali and beans.
But Magal, you look at look at America, right? America, you find one state has about 60 million people, and it's well governed by a government. It's not overrepresented. Here in Kenya, if we were to do a census, let's say we are over 50 or about 50, yet we are so overrepresented.
You know, we are just comparing name against name. Senator, MCA, no MCA here. But if you look at the administrative structure in the US, it's very, very much complex. Look at the ratio of the policemen to the wananchi. Yeah, look at the level of medical practitioners to the wananchi. All those people mean money. And even before this constitution, remember we had provincial administration. Right. Remember we had municipal. Even the area where I come up north, that is West Pokot, we had a municipal, which had councillors, which had a mayor, whom I remember very well, took over almost all the pieces of government land. And that is what was taken over by Kenyatta. Yes, he has a bloated government, but then what was he to do? How would he have managed it? Number one, he should have maintained it within his means. Okay? We've seen so much waste of resources at the devolved level. We were talking of Kidero a few minutes ago, and what is it? How much is he accused of stealing? And of course, each and every Kenyan knows that a lot has been stolen at the devolved level, at the national level, and it continues to be stolen. When these MCAs go out of the country, you mean there is no way we can tell them or stop them from going out of the country? The allowances they earn, members of the parliament, the same. The guzzlers go to these five-star hotels and see the kind of training sessions, meetings, and all that goes on there. All that is on our expense.
Martina Wino brought up a very good point in the issue of having to change how Parliament goes ahead with voting. Do you think that this vote by acclamation is an effective way of voting? Even Honorable Mutambo has also said it, where you hear the nays, prolonged it for 3 minutes. So do you think the Parliament needs to change how they vote?
I will deal with that in two ways. One, I would like to make it categorical that the nays had it yesterday. Yes. And what does that mean? It means that they voted down the amendments proposed by the president. It means that they rejected the 8% VAT on fuel and all the other taxes that were proposed by the president, and that therefore they should not come into force as a law of this country. And I hope the president won't assent to it. And if he does, then the members of parliament or right-thinking Kenyans should go to court and challenge it. And that's number two, yes. About the loud or the long nays and yes. Of course, it was. Let's take it that it wasn't definitive. Let's say that the speaker couldn't say which side had carried the day. Wow. There is a clear standing provision in our standing order, that I think that is standing order 154, which provides that should division. Yeah, should collection of the eyes and nose be disputable, they can move on to electronic voting. And should that fail again, they can move to roll call. And all those, and I expected the speaker to invoke those two standing order provisions yesterday, but he didn't. He was content to settle on the. I mean, how do you weigh voices? I mean, if your hearing is impaired, like clearly the chairperson of the House committee yesterday seems to have a problem with hearing. How is that to be resolved? We should have gone for electronic voting or a roll call, a way of deciding divisions. And Mheshimiwa should tell us here, because we are not privy to that, whether they try to invoke those provisions. Of the
actually, you know, what makes me sad in all these things is that we have a very brilliant speaker. Even the chair of that committee of the whole house is a very brilliant lady. But they ignored what should be done and did the opposite. For example, what you are saying, when you call a vote of nay and you are not sure, this one we were very sure because it was outright, then you call for that division, which she did later. And then what happened? The majority leader pushed members out, which is contrary to the standing orders. Because when that is done, the doors are closed. You're not supposed to go out. But it's a majority leader bulldozed everything and went outside.
All right, speaking of majority leader, we're going to come back to that, which leads me to my next point. Majority leader Aden Duale, yesterday when he was speaking to journalists, said that he was pushing for what is better for the government. Take a look at what he had to say.
For the speaker, we are waiting. You know, we don't want populism. And you media, you carry members of parliament say we are going to impeach a CS. And then down the line, the next 3 days, you don't even hold account to that member. I want you to hold account to anybody who says he's going to impeach the speaker. The grounds must be set. And from this afternoon, in fact, it is the members who, in my opinion, the privileged committee must deal with it, a number of them for disorderly.
Majority leader, the question, majority leader outside.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I have been accused of leading. The leader of majority, like the leader of majority in the House of Representatives, in the Congress, employs a number of tricks to make sure that the government agenda is complied with. And let me finish. When half of my team, I told them to withdraw, my business was to make sure that the 233 threshold is not achieved. That is part of my business in this house.
All right, back to you, Martin. We know he said two things. One, they're trying to push for the governmental agenda. Two, the issue of impeaching the speaker that you guys brought up yesterday.
Yeah.
But is that viable? Is that a solution?
Whether it is viable or not, but if you listen to the majority leader, and that is sad to Kenyans, one, there's distinction between executive and parliament, even if you are a majority leader from the majority party. Where is that responsibility of oversighting the executive? So this distinction is thinned out, and people are just fighting for the government, not knowing that we are fighting for the people too, to have a just government, because it's a government of the people, for the people. You just don't do things like that. And that is what they did. Now, impeachment has proceedings. And you cannot stand as a majority leader and threaten people, intimidate people that you will take action to them. That is irresponsible. This is democracy. And let me just react to what he did yesterday, which was outrageous.
They're walking out.
Pushing people out, and you know you're doing against the standing order, and you're a majority leader, is a crime. It's not right. You can't do that.
Okay, Honorable Mutambo, I just want your thoughts on that. Number one, we saw Majority Leader Aden Duale walking out as well as his counterpart, Mbadi, on the same issue. Does this justify the fact that the opposition is no longer there? There is no one representing the voice of Kenyans.
I said this a long time ago that opposition died on 9th March when Baba and President shook hands. There was no more opposition. That needs to be understood clearly. There's no opposition. But we are not talking about opposition here or the government. I need to go back to the essence of the operations of the business of the House, how Parliament operates. And I want to differ a little bit with my colleague here when he said that yes, there's a clear distinction between Parliament and the executive, but they are intertwined. Because what the budget comes from executive to Parliament. It is Parliament who decides and who discusses and passes or negates what the executive wants. So they are intertwined. And what you need to understand is that even the payment for the members of Parliament comes from that same budget. So if you don't pass it, you need to understand that they will not get the salary. So it is intertwined. You cannot separate it. Number two, the leader of opposition is like a leader of government business in the House. So I'm not supporting pushing or mobilizing members, but it happens. I've seen opposition walk out. And it cannot be sweeter when opposition is walking out, and it is now bitter when the government side is walking out.
No, but the time of walking out.
I have seen it. I've been in Parliament, and I have seen walking out on several occasions from the opposition. When the division
is called.
I've seen. No. You know, it becomes. Let me tell you. I know the standing orders. No. It becomes when the division is called and the bar is drawn, then you cannot walk out.
Yes, and that is what he did.
Just a minute. When the bar is not drawn, let us go there. And that's why actually I like our colleague here. I think I may hire this lawyer.
No, you may not like me, but that is what Duale did.
Because he can defend something which is wrong. He can defend a murderer. when he said, because you know a lawyer goes to court and says, my client did not kill, and he knows that he killed. When you listen to him, I will come back to that point later. What am I trying to say? We need to understand the standing order very clear. When the bar is not drawn, a member can walk out. But when when the bar has been drawn and then you jump the bar, then there becomes a problem.
Okay, he's the advocate here. Magal, your thoughts? And is impeaching the speaker something that is viable? What would be the process to that as well?
That is a very long shot. I think as per the standing order number 1, a member has to sponsor that motion. He has to be supported by 11 members. There has to be a hearing by a special committee. The committee then has to report back to Parliament. Then you need that 2/3 majority again, which I think they won't be able to, and nobody would be able to master. It is a long and lengthy process, and again, of course, they have to give grounds: misconduct, violation of the Constitution, incompetence, or physical infamy, of which, of course, we've seen none with. I don't think there's any ground that would stand against Muturi. But coming back to the issue of walking out, I mean, for me, that is neither here nor there. There was only one decision that was to be taken yesterday as per the order paper, and that was to vote on the amendment proposed by the president. Okay, and as per the standing order, that is 154, that was to be done by a simple majority. Okay. The way it is to be done is provided in the Constitution, that is Article 122, that is by a simple majority. Therefore, the issue of voting for the amendment should not be connected with voting with the 2/3 that was required to pass the bill as it had been passed before. Once the nays had it against the amendment, the amendments were defeated, and that was the end of it. But then when you say that since we don't, if we don't have 2/3 in the House, the amendments pass by default. I mean, you cannot call one vote. You cannot have two issues and roll them into one vote. Right. And that is what I find a problem.
Let me explain what he's saying, actually. There were no 352 people. Always 349 plus 3 clerks. And when you are doing electronic voting, they go down until... So at the time when the acclamation was called, we were 234, which is required, 232. And for the chair to call for a vote, she must have ascertained that he had a quorum. That's why I'm saying this was choreographed. It was by design, not by coincidence. This is what we are saying, which I'm saying is dishonesty in Kenyans.
It was all planned out.
All planned out and rolled out.
Only one outcome. However things turned out, there was only one outcome yesterday.
All right. So, gentlemen,